Hello and welcome to Selling Travel's latest travel talk. Today I'm delighted to be joined by Mario Bunas, Vice President of Marketing at Swan Hellenic. Hi Mario, how are you doing?
Great, thank you very much, and nice to meet you, and thank you for your time today.
No worries, no worries. So it's really nice to talk to you today about such a positive subject, really, because it's really a cruise line rising from the ashes, really, isn't it? I think Swan Hellenic's a name that a lot of agents will remember. Unless they joined the industry sort of after the collapse of All Leisure Group. But could you give us a bit of an overview of the brand's history and kind of where it's sat in the market?
Yeah, of course. So the brand started in the 1950s with a father and son travel, and they were really sort of known. They captured that sort of start of cultural cruising, meticulous planning of all their itineraries. In fact, we spoke with the granddaughter recently, who told us all about how her father used to bring out all the papers out onto the table so they can start to plan their itineraries. And it became one of those well-known things for her. And I thought it was a really sweet story to hear. And for us, it's all about the destination as well. And they were very much a business that was purchased eventually by P&O, who continued the journey through. And then again, it was transitioned to get into a number of different places, from being an operator of ships into an owner of ships, with the Minerva 1 and 2 being brought into service, 300 passengers on the first one, 600 on the second one. And they were really known as the meticulous for not only their planning of itineraries, but also for their lecturers, and known as the thinkers, a cruise for the real thinker.
Okay. And then obviously, sadly, the Swan Hellenic brand kind of disappeared from the scene in I think it was 2017, wasn't it? When
yes, purchased by G Adventures with a thought of relaunching, and we saw it was interesting when the company I work for now, we were sat there thinking about the brand and the ships that are coming through, and what we were trying to do. And as we were talking, it just found the similarities of what Swan Hellenic stood for and what we're trying to develop. And so we have the opportunity there to look at: do we create a new brand, or do we relaunch an existing brand that used to be in existence? And it just was the obvious fit for us to relaunch Swan Hellenic as a business.
Okay, so what's changed with this relaunch then? You're still sticking with that kind of explorer kind of ethos, but what has anything changed, or and what has changed if it has?
We're working through a lot of stuff at the moment when it comes to the brand, and for us it is all about those destinations. It's all about going to the further destinations but more remote, and it's about the culture, modern day cultural cruising, and expedition cruising is probably how I would position us and what we're trying to deliver. If I look at the ships we're building at the moment in the Helsinki shipyard, we have our first ship, which is coming in November 21, and in May 22 or April 22, we'll have our second ship arriving. These are 150 passenger boutique ships with 120 crew, so a really nice sort of feel and fit as they continue through that part. And it's the PC5 polar code that we have at the moment, which basically means that they're able to go to extend their season of sailing, but also go deeper in exploration to the polar regions. So really fitting with that ability to continue to explore different destinations.
Okay.
Our view is to try, and we're planning to go to all 7 continents as we continue through. So it's not just about polar, it's about the whole globe as you go through, just finding those parts of the world that are undiscovered or less known, and giving people the experience to travel and to experience a place that only a handful of people have been to.
And would you say that you're sitting within the kind of luxury market, or?
Yeah, the top end, I would say, yes, but not necessarily luxury. We position ourselves more about sophisticated elegance. We're very much about exploration, but enjoying the surroundings that you're in whilst you do it. So the ships that are being built at the moment are very much with the guest in mind, and making sure we can really offer the right sort of experience for them. So if I look at the ship design at the moment, we're working with Tilburg of Sweden on the design. We have a lot of open space and outdoor space and unobstructed views, so guests can really imagine sitting down in a sauna with a glass front, being able to look at the passing sort of landscapes of Antarctica, but you're sat there in this beautiful warmth. It's just another experience that not many people will be able to have, and to be able to do that and offer that, or sitting in a swimming pool whilst going past it, it's just a great opportunity.
So would you say that you're concentrating as much on the onboard experience as you are the sort of shore excursions and the expedition side of it?
The destination and the excursions are always going to take pole position on that side, but actually it's very much about ensuring the guests can travel in that sophisticated elegance if they want to. So we're really looking out for the whole journey from as you book through to the actual experience when you come back. So it's the whole customer journey that we're looking at the moment.
Okay, so could you describe the sort of future Swan Hellenic customer to me?
Great. I think we had a bit of fun trying to do this part, and a lot of research went into it. But I could say that, you know, it's your average age, probably around to the mid-50s, I would say. I'd assume a majority of our guests will be. And you've got a real mix of people, whether it will be the checklist tickers, the experience seekers, or the culture seekers that we're trying to go for. But ultimately, it's anyone who's got that inquisitive mind and curious about destinations as they continue to have a thirst for knowledge, as they continue to try and find those places that others haven't really been to yet.
Okay. And what, I mean, you said you sort of position yourself in that expedition market.
Yeah.
What are the kind of USPs, would you say, for Swan Hellenic compared to other expedition lines?
So we've got, I mean, for us, it's also about it's the new ships that we have, it's the destinations we're going to, and we are working on a series of unique experiences that only Swan Hellenic guests can get whilst being on our ships. We have some exclusive itineraries that have been developed, that continue to be developed in Russia and Far East. And it's you just need to watch this space, I'm afraid. I don't want to give away too much at this stage, but there's some really good partnerships in the works at the moment.
Okay, so you can't reveal anything about destinations yet, then?
Really can't, not too much.
Okay. Okay. So the new ships, tell us when they're launching again.
No problem. So the first ship will be launching in November 21. It will make its maiden voyage first voyage through to London, and from London down to Antarctica.
Yeah.
So we're doing the Antarctic season there, and then we have our second ship arriving sort of April 22, and they'll be doing a lot more of the Baltic sort of cruises, and I'm looking at the Arctic for summer 22.
Okay, so in terms of agents who are sort of, I mean, a lot of agents are really focusing on 2021 already because of everything that's happening, obviously. How are you kind of working with agents leading up to the launch date? How will you be sort of working with them to reveal more details and training them up on everything?
We will indeed. So we've started to engage with agents. We launched our announcement came on the 22nd of July this year. So we would obviously have loved to have been out in market earlier, but due to the sort of expected sort of circumstances we live in at the moment, it was obviously too much of a challenge to launch at that sort of time. So we delayed our launch a little bit. But we're actually working really closely at the moment. So we've had a great response so far from the press, and also from the trade partners in the UK and internationally. So we're growing our network at the moment. And we've got a series of webinars that are being worked on at the moment. We've got digital library assets, videos that are being produced for our trade partners. And we're here just to help and to work with them. We've set up a web page. Obviously, swanhellenic.com is the website. And obviously our partners page is on there for anyone who's interested in working with us to contact us directly. And then we've got a series of engagement programs that we're looking to launch soon. But again, with that details are to follow, unfortunately, not to be revealed just yet.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, in terms of, I mean, you touched on it a little bit there that COVID-19 has obviously sort of changed some plans, but I mean, in some ways, you're going to be kind of ahead of the game, really, aren't you? Because you're launching, further into the future. So presumably, you've got longer to get your sort of or I don't know, virus-proof plans in place. Would that be true to say?
It's a challenging time, I think, for every cruise line and travel business in the world at the moment. I think for us, one of the stronger points is we don't launch until November 21, so we're optimistic in what's happening in the market at the moment, and hopefully we'll start to see it. We've seen some cruise lines return to the water successfully, and we are confident that these are continuing to grow. It's a challenging time to do any announcement, and even for the little things that are actually quite important for a business, where when you're developing from scratch a brand that you need to to build a culture internally. Zoom's great, and you can have a lot of conversation, but we're an international company with offices in multiple countries at the moment. So being able to create a culture is quite challenging at this stage, but we have plans. We know exactly what we're trying to deliver now. So it's just really about how we execute going forward.
I can imagine, yeah, I can imagine it's been strange to start sort of working at a company when you can't see people in person.
Easily, yeah. And then we've got, we keep in contact with a lot of our guests and trade partners as well. So for us, it's really about sort of understanding the needs of our guests and being as flexible as possible to adapt to their needs. And I think that's really important as business.
Do you think that, I mean, there's been a lot of, I would say, very unfair press throughout the pandemic for the cruise industry, you know, talking about, dare I say it, cruise ships as floating petri dishes and sort of negative things like that. How do you think that the cruise industry is going to bounce back from that? What do you think's the sort of tack that you need to take from now on?
Well, the thing is, the cruise industry have been around for many years, and they've been tackling these sort of challenges for a number of years in terms of whatever illnesses and ailments have come up and news has come through. And I think they're really positioned to really track. They've got such a strong desire to show people the safety of cruise and the benefits it brings with it. So I think they're continuing to adapt. And like we've seen recently, the news of a number of cruise lines that returned successfully to the water with success in this sort of pandemic sort of era that we're living in at the moment. So I still think it's really important to bear in mind that it's not that we can't sort of look at the cruise lines as being the petri dish or any of those sort of things. It's really about the long-term sort of views of it, and ensuring the safety of our guests is obviously paramount, as with every cruise line.
Yeah, and I mean, have you adjusted your business plans because of COVID? I mean, obviously you must have made some adjustments.
We have. I think for us, like we were saying before, the fortunate part is because we don't sail to November 21, that's given us a little bit more of a leeway. But for us, it is really about looking at the longer term view of the business. And like every business, we've kept an eye on our costs and our marketing activity in the run up to launch. But really, it's the long term sort of view that we're taking, and whether it will be on these two ships or potential further expansion at some point. The owners of the business, the shareholders, they're all very keen to expand the business and to continue to look for the future for it.
What do you think? How do you see the future of travel in general changing because of COVID-19?
It's a great question. I think you can daydream for a while about these sort of things, but I think for me, it's really about the smaller ships, smaller group travel. Is going to continue to prevail. For me, it's all about almost like the return of the bucket list travel almost. So people are going to be a little bit more conscientious, I feel, in terms of what travel they're doing.
Yeah.
And really sort of being more sort of selective in where they go. And if it's on the remote list and it's further away from the crowds, I can see those becoming a lot more popular.
Okay.
There's also the ones that I think of the full relaxation and sort of digital switch off that you can get when you go to the further remote plants. I think that's really going to continue to strive.
Yeah, escapism, and then experiential travel is obviously has been a huge growing trend for many years now, and that's obviously something that you are grabbing hold of and sort of running with. But how do you think that that will evolve over the years?
It's one of those things we talk about a lot in our business when we're planning on some of the itineraries. It's really about looking at those far remote places and thinking, how many people have actually ever been there? And for me, I have kids myself, but I look at everything in terms of the ability to storytell, to tell people about these remote places I've been to or experiences I've had. And I think a lot of people still have that inbuilt desire to have exactly that, to come back and go, oh, I've been here, I've been there. And how many people can say they've been to the Antarctic and being sort of one with nature over there as well and experiencing those sort of areas? I think there's a lot of different experiences that have been untapped and continue more, especially within the Russia Far East. I think that's going to be an area of exploration for us that will be quite unique. Okay,
yeah, I don't know much about that area, but what kind of things does that offer then? It's, I guess, wild nature and.
Exactly, there's a lot of the nature side of things, but also there's a lot of history, especially when you look at sort of near sort of the Yenisei River in Siberia. There's a lot of tribes that have been living there for generations and just haven't, and people haven't sort of been able to see their traditions and the way of life. And I think for us to be able to showcase that would be amazing.
Yeah. Okay. And then yeah, I guess one question that's just popped into my mind is the sort of eco-friendly side of things, because obviously with expedition cruising you are going into remote areas which are sort of which could be pristine. You're going into communities which are smaller, could be impacted more by your visit. So how are you kind of working to sort of keep that in check and make sure that you are being sort of responsible?
So again, for us, all of our policies and our belief is that we want to be able to take people to these destinations that are very remote and very different, but we also don't want to disturb the balance there, the environment that we're going into. We're working a lot on sustainability in our ships as well, so we don't want to disrupt. We're trying to be as environmentally friendly as possible. And all of our expedition leaders and teams will also be looking to ensure that the experience they bring our guests will also limit interaction with, or too much interaction with any wildlife or indigenous people that we encounter.
Okay, so presumably you'll have as well as all the staff kind of serving drinks and things like that, you'll have experts on board who are sort of on top of their field and sort of know how to do this.
I think it's really important as well to ensure that we have experts on board who can really add value to our guests' experiences.
Yeah. Okay, so what can agents expect now? What's the kind of timeline? Obviously, it's going to be a while until you can step on a cruise ship, but when can agents sort of start booking?
So we are imminently launching our program at the moment. Our new sort of pricing and program and commission rates and so on will all be ready in the next week or two. We're just finalising our contracts now and are starting to engage with travel partners internationally.
Okay, exciting. Okay, well, good luck with it all. And yeah, it's really nice. I have to say, when I first started in the industry, which was 2008, I think, it was it's a brand that I remember writing about then, and it's nice to see it come back. So
excellent. Thank you very much. It's been great working on the brand so far, and I'm very excited for the future.
Yeah. Okay. Good luck. Thanks, Mario.
Thank you very much. Take care. Bye-bye.